Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're tackling something absolutely huge. We are decoding one of the most demanding yet incredibly rewarding hurdles in a developing engineer's career, the high-stakes engineering interview. Whether you're aiming for that formal professional registration or you're stepping up into a major commercial role, we're going to explore exactly how to crack the code to passing these rigorous assessments, relying on targeted frameworks from Empowering Engineers UK.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with Part 1, the engineering interview problem. Then 2, decoding the UK-SPEC interview. 3, inside the interview hub. 4, mastering your professional narrative. And finally 5, simulating high-stakes interviews.
All right, let's jump right into Part 1, the engineering interview problem.
It's a wildly frustrating question, isn't it? Why do genuinely brilliant engineers fail their interviews? You put in the crazy hours, your structural calculations are literally flawless, and you understand your systems inside and out. So I want to validate all that hard work right out of the gate. Your technical skill, that is not the problem. The real issue is translating that complex technical skill into a compelling, structured narrative that an assessing panel can easily digest.
Okay, let's dive into this. There's a quote from our source material that really hits the nail on the head. Technical brilliance alone is insufficient for professional registration. When you're sitting before assessing panels, especially those under the Engineering Council, they are looking for elite interpersonal skills. They aren't just giving you a math test in a vacuum, right? They need to see how you manage risk, how you drive continuous improvement, and exactly how you lead cross-functional teams.
To really see this in action, let's compare two approaches. Think about a rambling technical answer. This happens all the time when an engineer gets totally lost in the technical weeds and leans way too heavily on the word we, saying things like, well, we decided to upgrade the system. Look, teamwork is great, but hiding behind we kind of signals a lack of professional readiness. Contrast that with a structured leadership answer. It uses the pronoun I and zeroes in on commercial and safety impacts. Saying something like, I utilized a cost-benefit analysis to authorize the final upgrade, totally proves you have the technical autonomy expected of a registered professional.
Moving on to Part 2, decoding the UK-SPEC interview.
Let's clearly define what we are actually preparing for here. The Professional Review Interview, or the PRI, is the capstone of the entire UK-SPEC assessment process. Remember, the panel isn't there to give you a pop quiz on physics. They are verifying your professional maturity, your ethical conduct, and your precise alignment with UK-SPEC competencies A through E. Essentially, they want to assess your overall readiness for Chartered Engineer, Incorporated Engineer, or Engineering Tech registration.
Which brings us to Part 3, inside the interview hub.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it lays out the definitive solution to this whole interview problem. It's the Empowering Engineers UK Interview Hub, which you can check out at empowerengengineers.uk/interview.html. Think of it like your own personal digital workbench. It takes those abstract interview concepts and transforms them into verifiable leadership evidence. It gives you this comprehensive, highly secure suite of tools to practice, refine, and totally master your narrative before you ever step foot in front of a panel.
Let's transition into Part 4, mastering your professional narrative.
So the crucial point is that the structural delivery of your answer is just as critical as the technical content itself. A rambling response just doesn't demonstrate leadership. That's why the Interview Hub heavily reinforces the use of core communication architectures, specifically the STAR and PARLA methods. These frameworks ensure you're building winning answers that check all the panel's strict criteria.
Let's break down the STAR method first. Situation, task, action, and result. This is literally the gold standard for competency questions. You establish the engineering context, define the specific challenge, and then you hit the critical focal point, the action step. This is where you, the engineer, must highlight your autonomous decisions. Remember, emphasize I over we. Detail your exact calculations and leadership interventions, and then wrap it up with a quantifiable data-driven result.
Let's move to and see how this builds into an even more advanced framework called PARLA. That stands for Problem, Action, Result, Learning, and Application. The hub really pushes candidates to progress to PARLA because it goes way beyond just the result. It actively proves to the panel that you engage in reflective practice. It shows you're continuously learning from past projects and applying that continuing professional development to mitigate risks in future challenges. It's a real game changer.
But what if you're going for an external job interview or an internal promotion?
For those, you've got to step out of the technical weeds and speak directly to commercial stakeholders, people who care about things like return on investment. For this, the platform teaches the FAB approach: features, advantages, benefits. It's a critical translation matrix. Instead of just pitching a titanium alloy variable frequency drive, which is just the feature, you pitch its corrosion resistance, the advantage. Then you bring it home with the actual benefit, the elimination of 50,000 pounds annual maintenance downtime. Boom! That is how you secure project buy-in.
And finally, Part 5, Simulating High-Stakes Interviews. The absolute cornerstone of the Interview Hub is the virtual PRI simulator. This is where you safely wireframe your commercial narratives through timed mock interviews that are perfectly tailored to your target tier, whether that's CEng, IEng, or EngTech. Using competence mapping, the system generates questions explicitly linked to UK-SPEC criteria, forcing you to recall all that structured evidence on demand under simulated pressure. And right after the mock interview, you get a structured critique to self-audit your answers against those STAR and PARLA methodologies we just talked about.
As you're drafting your competence statements, you're also guided by the Live Coach output. This is a brilliant diagnostic engine that analyzes your keystrokes in real time. It references this massive proprietary dictionary of high-impact engineering verbs, actively prompting you to ditch passive language. So instead of writing, "I was involved in," the system pushes you to use active, commanding terminology like "I orchestrated," "I engineered," or "I validated." It basically guarantees you are writing with precision and absolute leadership.
And this brilliantly illustrates another major hurdle: avoiding context traps. Engineering is absolutely packed with acronyms that mean completely different things depending on your sector. Like, does CV mean check valve, or does it mean cost variance? To keep you from confusing the panel during a live interview, the platform includes an engineering decoder packed with over 15,000 acronyms. This ensures your technical jargon is deployed accurately and with total professional clarity.
Wow, okay, we have unpacked a massive amount of strategy today. From mastering the STAR and PARLA architectures to leveraging timed mock interviews in the virtual PRI simulator, you know you already have the technical skills. You've put in the hard work out there in the field. So the only question left for you is, are you ready to prove it to the panel? By systematically deploying these frameworks, you can confidently bridge that gap to your professional registration. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, I highly encourage you to go start wireframing your own narrative today.